a really good season last year and were kind of on the verge of doing great things, but couldn't just get themselves over that hump. That's why they're one of the teams that I believe is going to be super important for them to get off to a good start. I don't think that X Factor can come out and lose this first game against Sacramento XSV if they're going to be a contender this season. I really feel like so many things hedge on how you start the very beginning of this season. Dallas, the first event of the year, is here, and it's time for teams to show up and show that they've been practicing. And X Factor, we've seen them, everybody, we've talked about the roster. Those guys are still out there at their new field, grinding, playing really hard, and I think it's going to be very important for X Factor to prove, starting off this event, first game of the event and first game of the season, that they are prepared for everything that this season is going to have to show.
Well, starting off last season, now X Factor has been around for numerous years. However, after they initially got together, and it was basically a super team with all the best players in Texas, and they united, that was San Antonio X Factor, and they did well early on in their careers, but then they kind of, and I was talking to Devin Odell, one of the first members of that team when it first formed, and ended up being one of their stars. And the Odell brothers were just awesome paintball players. And he had said that right around the time that everybody turned 21 and they'd already been playing pro for a couple of years, that's when things started. When you grow up a little bit and you've already did what you wanted to do. But now owner Alex Martinez has really turned the program around, and a lot of the guys like the Odell brothers, who are still obviously good enough to play at this level but can't commit to an intense practice schedule, won't be playing this season. So only the most dedicated players are playing for San Antonio X Factor. It's a great series by Planet Eclipse right now from Disconnected Media called The Roster, documenting their story, which is really interesting. And new episode of that's coming out, and a whole new season will be out this year as well, so check for that. But another thing too that we have to talk about, because the way that paintball works is that you have these positional guys, and there's some guys that play on the D side and some guys that play in the snake, and they have interchanged a little bit, but ultimately it's about these matchups. And I think San Antonio X Factor, they have some guys that really need to step up this year in those one positions, the 1, the 2, and the 3. The 1, first guy to attack. The 2, that's the second guy to attack. He's the support player. And then the 3, that's the back player. And that's how we break those positions down. Now, San Antonio X Factor, they picked up Scott Kemp, who had a rocky season in 2012, and Zach Wake, who also has floated around on a bunch of different teams. They both have found a home on San Antonio X Factor. Wake is going to be playing in the Snake, and Scott Kemp is going to be playing on that Dorito side. And a lot of weight is going to be on their shoulders. Now, obviously, they're not the only ones on that team, but being the new guys in the tribe, and also those guys, they're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder this year for sure.
Yeah, well, they want to also give confidence to the players that have been on X Factor. They want to show up and be like, hey, I'm here to play, and look me, I'm producing already. Zach Wake, we know he can produce. The question is, can he stay out of this penalty box? Scott Kemp felt like he got a lack of opportunities last year, and hopefully this year he'll be able to get more opportunities with his new team and show that he deserved to get that play time. So,
well, talking about opportunities, the team they're playing at the very first game at 9:45 Central Time is Sacramento XSV. They also have a big opportunity here, and everyone's going to be watching. They had a good season last season. Didn't have a great World Cup. They came, back to the PSP, played the World Cup, underperformed, though they did beat Damage. They definitely beat Damage, and that was a really big win for them. So they can hang with the best in the league. And they have Thomas Taylor. His knee is still a little suspect. He told me earlier today that he feels pretty good. They have Jesse Lapid coming back also to play the Snake, and then on that Dorito side, going against guys like Colt Roberts. Looks like Dimitri, I think, might be playing over there on that Dorito side as well for X Factor. And they're going to be going up against Aaron Tholey and Riley Sullivan, two really aggressive players when they want to be. I'd say Riley's probably a little bit more aggressive than Tholey innately, but they both have that in the bag for sure.
Yeah, I think beating Damage at World Cup gave all those guys more confidence, after a little bit of a slow start, that they do belong in this league, that they can compete in this league. And XSV does have a roster full of very talented players. Just because we haven't really talked about them much, in the recent past, don't think that this team can't come out and perform very well at this event. I think it's going to be very crucial, obviously, for them to get off to a good start as well, but I don't think it's going to be as important as for X Factor to start their season off well.
Yeah, so now, and then heading into the second game coming at 10:30 Central Time is Houston Heat and Chattanooga CEP. Now, Chattanooga CEP is really thin the herd this year. They've cut down their roster, and what they have left are a bunch of fast, talented, hungry players. They had a disastrous 2012. They only won one game all season long, and they're a team that they have a lot to prove. And they're playing against Houston Heat, who won 3 events last year and took second at the very first event. So 3 wins and a second place. It's going to be really tough out the gate for CEP to try to take down Houston Heat.
Yeah, when you're playing a team that won more events than you won matches, then it's going to be a little bit of a rough start for CEP. But it's a new season. They got a new team, new players, new attitude. And, we talked a little bit about Robbie Goldsmith and, his motivation. He's ready to play, and it really seems like he's got a new head on that shoulders of that team that they've put together here. So, maybe we'll see something different from CEP this year. But once again, they need to stay out of the penalty box, and hopefully they play a little bit smarter this year.
Absolutely. And then at 11:15, coming up, it's going to be San Diego Dynasty playing Sacramento XSV. So within the first 3 games, we're going to see XSV twice, and they play X Factor and Dynasty, 2 real strong squads. So we're going to get a real good read on how good XSV is going to be at this first event here, and it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to watching this go down. And then after that, now, and also Dynasty has a lot of unanswered questions as well. Dynasty is in a situation where they have Brandon Short, who's been injured. Brandon Short broke his hand, and he's got tubes coming out of it now, and he's got screws all up in there. So it's one of those situations where Brandon Short is not going to be taking the field for 6 to 10 weeks for Dynasty. But you look at their core of the roster. They still are the team that has won 55 tournaments worldwide since their inception. That's ridiculous. They are the most successful team ever to play the game. And, that's going to be a really good game between them and XSV. Then coming up after that, X Factor is going to take on CEP. Again, CEP, they're going to have to come out the gate strong in order to show everyone this year. But also, I think that one of the things with CEP that they really have got to kind of take a deep breath on is that, hey, look, guys, the road is long. They have a lot to work on. We're going to see what they've done in the offseason here and what the new CEP looks like. Because, again, they're under new ownership. The leadership has changed. It's still Robbie Goldsmith, but he's been able to focus a lot more on trying to build that team up. And then the guys they have there are really basically the cream of the crop from what they had last year. So we'll see if they're able to vibe. They still don't really have a strong coach or somebody that's really experienced, though they do have Osvaldo Lopez, who played on the Ironman for a couple seasons, and I think he'll be able to lend some of that experience that they desperately need. And then we have Houston Heat taking on Dynasty. Now that is going to be a game. I'm really looking forward to that. That game will be coming at you at 12:45 Central Time tomorrow. What do you think about that team, Todd?
Well, I think this is going to be a really exciting game, and I think that's the one that I'm most excited about watching for this first Thursday action lineup that we have here, because Houston Heat's going to play their first game against CEP and get fired up and get to play the field, and San Diego Dynasty is going to have their first game against XSV. So Heat, traditionally probably going to come off, they play well against CEP. All right, so they're going to come out here, and they're going to get a good look at the field. And Dynasty is going to have a tough game against XSV, I believe. So, to see both of those teams who had some really good matchups last year. I was telling you, Maddie, last night, it seemed like Dynasty lost a lot of close games last year, but they always seemed to beat Heat. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head what the record was between the two teams last year, but I think this is a great matchup because a lot of these players have been playing against each other for a long time. I remember playing against the guys that are on Heat back when I was on Dynasty. So it's been a pretty good matchup. It's been a great battles with those players, with Mishka and Fedorov and how they think. Jason Trojan, old school coach, very knowledgeable of all of Dynasty's players and how they play and their tendencies by now. And Dynasty, again, it's going to be which Dynasty shows up this year. How did that game go against XSV? Are they playing with confidence? Did everything that they've done in the offseason going to make a difference? And are we going to see a stronger, more confident, powerful Dynasty team this year?
Well, and how well are their new pickups, Tyler Harmon and Kyle Spica, going to play for them? Because, again, this really comes down to position. So, yeah, when we're talking about Dynasty playing Houston Heat, what are we really talking about? Well, we're talking about the matchups on each side of the field. And on that Dorito side, again, with Dynasty, they have players that they can kind of play in different spots, but last year, Dalton Vanderbilt, man, that kid really kind of came into his own last season and really elevated his status into one of the cream of the crop, higher echelon players out there. Everybody knows it. A lot of teams went after him. He almost switched over to Edmonton Impact, along with 3 other pickups from the Damage and Infamous, as well as Greg Sewers, Justin Rabikoff, and Dave Baines, all ended up on Impact this year, who looks really strong. We'll get to that in a second. But, so they have Dynasty has Tyler Harmon, and they have Kyle Spica. Kyle Spica is going to be playing over here on the Snake side as the one. He's going to be that first attacker. Spica had some good points, some really good points. He's been playing on the Los Angeles Iron for the past couple seasons, and last year I saw some flashes of brilliance out of that kid, but man, he just gets inside his head a little bit too much, and if he just lets the reins go, really believes in himself, I think he could have a breakout season, and Dynasty's going to need him to have a breakout season because they had a lot of issues with their starting ones last year. So it's one of those situations where, is Arspica and Harmon going to get it done? Backed up by Alex Frazier and probably throw Glenn Takamoto. Maybe Oliver might go to that side a little bit. Could see Ryan Greenspan. Typically, Greenspan's a little bit more towards the Dorito side of the field along with Dalton. And, that's just a really solid lineup. You back that up with Yosh Rao, who's arguably one of the best back players, and he actually was the number one guy from Phoenix last season on the statistics. So, yeah, you're right. Is Dynasty going to show up tenacious this year? Are they going to show up with that will to win that got them so many W's and made them the most successful team ever? Remains to be seen. And they're going to have that tough second game against Houston Heat. Then right after that, we have another really good matchup as Red Legion is going to be taking on Impact. What do you think about that game?
Well, Moscow Red Legion, they lost a couple really stellar players in Marcelo Margot and Axel Godin over the offseason. So we're going to see, we haven't really heard much from them and how everything's been going, how they've been playing. But, everybody's waiting to see Edmonton Impact. With the big pickups that they made, the already solid players that they had. It's just going to be how well this team shows up and decides to play. But Moscow Red Legion, no matter who they put on the field, they always seem to have a really tough, mentally strong team. And when you have guys, number one player in the world, Alexander Biernikov coming back, Kirill coming back, Pantaleev is just a rock. They have a good squad that, of core players that are still there. So I would count on this to be, another really good grudge match game, just right away, right to start off the new season.
Well, and also, this year we have the new Champions and Challengers format, which is coming out, and that's going to change things up a little bit. Every game is now important. There are no throwaway games. We have 15 teams here at this event, and we will have 20 pro teams at the second event as we add 5 more challenger teams and create a new division there. And the bottom 5 finishers of this event will move down into the second pro division, which is the challengers. And then the champions, there's going to be 10 teams there. So Welcome to the first PSP event of the 2013 season here, a little outside Dallas, Texas at Cousins Paintball, and we're about to watch the first game, man. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. So much off-season crazy drama with pretty much every single team in the league, and we'll be getting into all of that as the event progresses. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Matty Marshall alongside Todd Martinez and Steve Rabikoff. We have a great first game coming at you here at San Antonio X Factor, going to be taking on Sacramento Excessive. Todd, what do you think about this first match?
Well, I saw some of the Excessive guys walking around this morning, and they look confident. It's really good to see that they're coming out here, and they feel like, teams are kind of sleeping on them a little bit. And I think that they're going to come out really hard right now and show X Factor what's up. And, we talked about X Factor yesterday, and we know that they're going to have to come out here to try and prove a point early as well.
I totally agree. Let's check out the schedule real quick here for the day. These are all the games coming at you. Next up after this game, Houston Heat taking on CEP. Then Dynasty will be throwing down against Sacramento Excessive. Then we have X Factor, CEP, Heat, Dynasty, Red Legion, Impact, Tampa Bay Damage, Chicago Aftershock, and 345 Omaha Vicious and Edmonton Impact. Moscow Red Legion against Chicago Aftershock and Tampa Bay Damage taking on Vicious. Those are the games for the first day of competition here. 15 pro teams taking the field, and we are trying to find out who will be in the Champions Division and who is going to be going down to the Challengers Division, as we're going to have 2 pro brackets here in the PSP for 2013. 5 additional teams will come into the Challengers League for the second event, and the 5 bottom-ranked teams here in the Pro Division will go down to start the new Challengers Division. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. I mean, that's, to me, one of the big parts of the drama this year, is that every single event after this one, we're starting at the second event, 2 teams are going to bump up from the Challengers Division and 2 teams are going to bump down. So every game's important. Everyone's fighting for their lives. And when you're looking at these 2 teams that are about to play each other right now, is that X Factor is very hungry to become a top team again. They took 3rd at the World Cup, and the coach Ryan Brand and the owner Alex Martinez has really been on their players and their roster to train as hard as they can. You can't even be on the team anymore, no matter how good you are, unless you're willing to commit to a pretty brutal practice grind. But you know what though? That's the type of organization that breeds champions. There's no top level team doesn't have a really consistent, regular get a practice schedule that every single guy is required to attend. Steve, I mean, you've been with a lot of big programs over the years. What do you think about that new mentality from X Factor?
Alex has got his personal life straightened out. He's ready to go, man. That guy is working hard, and he's demanding. Like, the guys were going into this practice, he said, hey, if they're not on my program, they're not in the program. So he's here to win. Both these teams, like you said, Excessive feels like people are going to sleep on them, and these guys are hungry to prove that they belong.
Yeah, and that's very true, because Excessive, they've been around for a long time, and we're a championship caliber team, and they've come over to the PSP now to really prove that, hey, look, we're one of the upper echelon teams. We're here to bang with the big boys, and I can't wait to see what they bring. So there's Excessive in the high huddle right now. There's Thomas Taylor taking the field. Rich Telford, number 7. And they got Aaron Tholey as well, starting for them and then also Riley Sullivan and Jerry D'Amato playing on the snake side. And young Jerry can play, man. That kid can play some paintball. He's earned a lot of respect over the past couple seasons from the top players in the game.
He has, and on this field, guys, I'm excited for this, because talking to a lot of teams going into these practices, everyone's like, it's going to be the snake side, it's going to be the rear side. It is going to be both sides, and you're going to see some chaos going down.
Yeah, it's going to be coming from everywhere.
Well, when this layout, when it was set up and we were working on it, I wanted to call it Bloody Knuckles. And then it was interesting because the next 2 weeks since the field got issued, every time I saw one of the guys that, one of the pro players and high-level divisional players that have been playing this field, I'd see them and their hands would be covered in blood welts.
Yeah.
So it's going to get crazy out there. And, there's just a lot to work with on this field up there in the center. There's a no back center.
Hey, you got to get out. The big guys on the teams, they're going to have to get out.
And here we
go. Just a few seconds before the start of this first point. And you're looking at the breakout here for Excessive on the left-hand side of your screen. X Factor on the right-hand side. And it looks like a pretty good breakout for both teams. It looks like X Factor loses the body off the break.
Yeah, I think that's Scott Kemp, number 86, dies out of Dorito 1 first, and Archie Montemayor dies out of the first temple on the snake side as well. So X Factor already down to just 3 bodies left alive on the field.
And this is what Excessive needs, Todd. Excessive needs to get on the board, have a good first couple points, get up there,
And we always talk about, we're going to be talking about it all weekend, that paintball is a game of momentum. You have to get out there and try to go up the first couple points.
And with that Dorito side there, because it's so sneaky Pete over there, you got to be careful. Even if you're down, those guys can creep on you.
And you're looking at the D side cam. New addition here this year, and that's Riley Sullivan, number 19 for Excessive, in great field position right now. Now you're looking at San Antonio X Factor on that Dorito side. That's who Riley's looking at. But look at this, Excessive losing Rich Telford and it looks like
Foley and Riley.
Oh, and then Thomas Taylor makes a big move coming down the Dorito side, takes out Zach Wake, and this is what we thought we were going to see on this field. Back and forth points here, and look at that. It looked
just like that. Here it looked like Excessive was completely at 5 alive against 3 X Factor, and X Factor gets in the snake, shoots 3 right away, and boom, this switch, just like that, momentum.
Exactly. So X Factor is going to go up. First point here this game brought to you by AvidExtremeSports.com. They have 2 stores in North Texas and in Oklahoma, and Moore, Oklahoma, and Plano, Texas. So if you are in that area, also they are the makers of the Texas Storm Signature Series guns as well. And Texas Storm is one of those up-and-coming divisional teams that I'm hoping to potentially see in the Challengers Division. I'm not sure if they're going to make, it's still unknown as to who's going to be moving into the Challengers Division, but Texas Storm is one of those teams there, and they're supported by Avid Extreme Sports. So please go to their website, support our sponsors. This webcast does not exist without our sponsors. So first point goes to X Factor, man. Excessive. That is so. If you're an Excessive fan right now, that's kind of when you start taking the controller and smashing yourself in the head, because they had that point.
Yeah, it was a 5-on-3 situation, and then we saw Riley Sullivan get into the D50 Dorito over there. See Colt Roberts on your screen right now, 30 years old, 5'7", 155 out of San Antonio, Texas. He was the one that ran in that flag for X Factor, put the first point on the board, and give them a 1-0 lead here to kick off 2013 season.
Colt Roberts had such an awesome year last year in 2012. And he was actually the highest-ranked member of X Factor for the beginning of the year, but then Grayson Goff, he stepped up towards the end of the season and took that #1 spot on X Factor. So, we're going to see Colt Roberts on that Dorito side mostly. I mean, he's a very versatile player. He can definitely play in the Snake. He actually kind of made a name for himself playing in the Snake. But, one of the best players ever to come out of Texas. And now we're going to reset here. It is a first to 7 points.
I think we're going to have a lot of 7s in this event. Like, at World Cup, you had 3 2s, 4 1s, 5 3s. I think we're going to see a lot of 7s on this field. What do you guys think?
No, I agree. In practice, we've been hearing that it's a fast-playing field. And, you can, if you're able to get 5 alive and you intentionally want to slow the pace down, it's possible. But at the same time, this field is really the advantage is going to go to the aggressors. Now here we go, Excessive in the green and black, JT jerseys, right-hand portion of your screen, and then look at that, Jussie Lappin, number 88 for Excessive, making a move up to that center.
And all 5 bodies, very interesting. Actually, first body's walking off. That's number 12, Jamie Lopez, is running off for Excessive.
Look at this, they're just walking right next to each other, going to pop each other here.
Yeah, so Jaime he takes the first walk off for Excessive.
Takes out the ref too.
Oh, and Niños stands up and is running down the field, wrecking Excessive's Dorito side of the field right now. So losing that first body, Lopez off that corner for Excessive allowed Niños to come all the way down to the end of the Snake.
Well, you have to take advantage of those situations, and that gap is going to close as we see these teams really start to master this field. And Dimitri Niños, he was one of the touted guys, younger guys coming up in that area, and X Factor is very excited about him. And from all the guys that I've talked to,
young and aggressive.
The kid can play, man.
Yeah, young and
really
aggressive.
Can play. And we just saw it right there. That's probably what we're going to be seeing out of him. And I also hear he's pretty confident, and you need that when you're first coming into the league. I think that's why Jason Wheeler from Moscow Red Legion, who we'll see later on in this event, I think that's why he did so well, is because he has an innate confidence. Now, he's had, Wheeler had some time to season himself on the European circuits, but he played phenomenal. And we're going to be right back here. More Excessive and X Factor coming at you. Don't go anywhere. So the score is now 2-0 in favor of San Antonio X Factor. They're taking on Sacramento Excessive, and it has been all X Factor, but Excessive looked really good in that first point, but they were not able to capitalize on the advantage that they had, and X Factor able to quickly turn the field with 2 quick kills.
Yeah, I think they played that second point with 4 bodies as well.
And you know,
but I didn't see anybody in the penalty box. I think they may have just not been able to get enough guys out there. It's kind of.
But like you said, Excessive. The first 2 points, they've made it out 5 alive on this field. It's kind of interesting that we've seen that so far. Let's see how that trend goes here.
So here we go. You're looking at Excessive on your screen right now, trying to get out here on the Snake side of the field.
Todd Morrow goes down for X Factor right away out of Temple 1.
Zach Wake is in the Snake already for X Factor here. It's Snake 1, so putting the pressure on that Dorito side already.
You know, and Zach Wake is one of those guys who needs to have a big year. He's been bouncing around team to team, played the World Cup with the Russians. He's played on Infamous before. He's played for Dynasty. He's played on a lot of teams. Trying to find a home here on San Antonio X Factor, and now Excessive making moves all the way into Snake 3, almost to the 50-yard line. And this is in decent position, but then he loses. I think that was Jesse Lapid getting shot out. No, Jerry D'Amato getting shot out right behind him. So only 1 player left alive for Excessive over here on the Snake side.
And X Factor getting aggressive over on the Dorito side, bumping up to the Dorito 2. Dorito 3 now into the 50 Dorito.
And here on the Dorito side,
Scott Zach
Kemp.
Wake gets hit in the dome real quick.
But Scott Kemp over here making moves, and yeah, Zach Wake got shot out, and that's exactly what Excessive needed to happen. But then Archie Montemayor comes and drops the hammer on Excessive here in the Snake. That was
good
great.
move.
That was such a solid, beautiful move by Archie right there.
All nice and patient.
And Archie gets clipped, though, and so does Scott Kemp. So I think we have a one-on-one right now with Rich Telford.
And it looks like Grayson.
Oh, it is. It's Grayson. One-on-one. This is a huge point, swing point right here for Excessive. Rich Telford needs to pull this one-on-one off here against Grayson Goff, the #1 player in 2012 for San Antonio X Factor.
And he gets eliminated.
Oh, and so Rich Telford gets shot out by Grayson Goff, and that is why Grayson Goff is really emerged as one of the top players on that team, by far.
And, you know, we always talk about that dreaded 3-point spread. Excessive early, going down 3 points to nothing. A tough deficit to try and fight back from right now.
Yeah, they're going to try to do that when we come back. And we're looking at the eye in the sky. Look at the center of that field and all of the different options that these players have. You know, the majority of the good bunkers are forward placed on this particular field layout. That's intentional, and it's going to lend to the more aggressive teams.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Zach Wake at that last point. He stood in the back center, shot his gun, watched the lanes come out, and then took off running and dove immediately, I think, into Temple 2 or into that mini race right away.
Yeah, and there are just so many different options that you can do on this field. Look at this center. Right here we have this gigantic stand-up and this stand-up right at the 45-yard lines. And they're really going to be able to counterpunch paintball over there. And look at this Dorito side. It is a straight ladder all the way down the Dorito side, and we've been hearing from the practices that these teams have been, fighting each other in, and that Dorito side plays real fast. But the Snake side plays real fast too. So, it's going to really depend on what moves the players make, and that beautiful move that Archie made. That's that seesaw battle we're going to see all
that
event
move was
long.
there because Excessive didn't have a guy backing him up. Jerry D'Amato got taken out. He's solo there. You better keep your gun up because that's going to happen a lot.
And here we go on the break split screen. Breakout right here. Excessive on the left-hand portion of your screen, and X Factor on the right. And it looks like X Factor loses Zach Wake off the break, but Rich Telford dies for Excessive as well. So it's 4-on-4. No, minor first penalty of the tournament coming on. Looks like Colt Roberts. So Scotty Kemp's going to come off, and now that puts San Antonio X Factor in a bad spot over here with Dixon Yang stuck there in that center, trying to gun up down the Dorito side. And he is going to have to live by his gun right here. Finally gets taken out, so it looks like Excessive is finally going to get on the board, and they really need this point. No, it's still not over yet, though.
No, still one body back in the corner, but no, he's going to die. He gets shot out of that snake side corner, and he's walking off. That's Demetrius Ninios.
And here you are, X Factor. You have him down 3-0, and you decide, hey, let's let him back in the game, and let's give him a couple penalties here. Well, one penalty here,
and
minor.
Colt got a few penalties last year, but he played pretty clean. He had an inopportune penalty against the Ironman.
I think Chicago.
Yeah, in Chicago that knocked him out of the tournament. So that was a frustrating move. And minor penalty on Colt Roberts that will come off the board. Minor penalties come off, majors stay on, and we're going to be right back. So first game of the day so far, mostly San Antonio X Factor, though Sacramento Excessive finally getting back here on the board. Score is now 3-1 here in this race to 7. And Colt Roberts getting that minor penalty on the Dorito side.
Yeah, I mean, Scott Kemp got pulled right away, really opened it up for Riley Sullivan to go running down that Dorito side of the field, and then just nothing really left that Ninios could do over there. But yeah, 3-1 ball game now. Excessive hasn't played bad. They've been in both of those first 2 points. They were in control 5-on-3, and then dropped that first point. So, this is the first
that on this field.
Yeah. You're going to have that on this field, and you're going to have it with these teams.
Yeah.
Excessive is a strong team. X Factor's a strong team. They're really trying to resurge too. Both those teams have won tournaments in the past, and they want to repeat that here in 2013.
And guys, this bracket is got some serious talent in this bracket here. This has got Houston Heat, it's got San Diego Dynasty. So these guys they gotta get these first games with those wins, because you can't afford too many mistakes in this bracket.
There's no easy days.
No.
Mostly, for most teams, you're not going to have easy days. San Antonio X Factor on your screen, and digging out off the break. 4 guns up, rolling off the break, and it looks like they were able to take out. Yeah, I think that was number 2 from Excessive. Jaime gets shot off that snake side.
So 4 bodies alive. Riley Sullivan able to get out to Dorito 2.
And it looks like Colt Roberts is moving on. He's at the Dorito 3 over, working his way towards the 50 Dorito.
And there's Thomas Taylor and Jesse Lappin on your screen. Now you're looking at the Dorito side for San Antonio X Factor. Colt Roberts, number 45, as that minor penalty came off the board, and he's backed up by Grayson Goff. And Thomas Taylor able to get into Snake 1. He might have picked up Archie trying to get out wide. No, but he gets shot out. So Thomas Taylor tries to pick up Archie Montemayor, swinging out wide to the back corner bunker on the snake side, but Ninios gets that shot in.
Yeah, Ninios shot Junior Brown out of that tall can there on the Dorito side, and then he takes advantage now and dives into the 50 snake, and Riley Sullivan just gets eaten alive trying to come up the middle of the field, and Excessive going to go ahead and concede that point.
You know what I'm seeing right now, guys, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, but it looks like Excessive isn't playing bad. X Factor is just playing better, and X Factor is doing a much better job at controlling the pace of the moves and the pace of the game. If they lose a guy, they counter that by killing somebody else. They're just on top of the timing, on top of the pace of the game. And on a field like this, when things get wild and crazy, your ability to respond to those pressure situations when things start to go south, in that particular point as the points progress throughout the game, and X Factor's just doing a slightly better job of controlling that pace, and that's why we're seeing them, taking this so far 4-1.
They've got both sides of the field dialed in right now. Their lanes, they're shooting lanes. They're getting guys on the break now, and they're controlling both sides of the field.
Yeah. So let's see if Excessive can get back in it. We'll be right back.
JT Splatmaster is here to get you in the game. Target up top. It accurately shoots up to 100+ feet with awesome ammo that splats when it hits. And the JT Splatmaster has intense pump action.
Look at the play! Yeah!
Did you crush my begonias?
JT Splatmaster. Get in the game. You can look for the JT Splatmaster in the sporting goods section at these fine retailers or at jtsplatmaster.com. For ages 9 and up. Must be 18 or older to purchase. Adult supervision required. JT Splatmaster and accessories sold separately. Optics goggles.
So timeout has been called by XSV, and that's a smart timeout. You use those timeouts to slow the momentum of the opposing team, and that's what XSV is trying to do right now, and to fix whatever issues you have. And they don't have any, I don't see, they have good game plans. They're not playing bad, but they're not playing good. And that's the issue. You know, Rich lose that one-on-one. Rich is normally really good at one-on-ones. And, you know, he got shot by Grayson. And, you know, Grayson's just he's so consistent. He just doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He proved that last year, and he's really tightened his game up. So, you know, right now it's XSV. They don't need major tweaks, but it's like we used to slap each other in the face to get ready for games back in the day, and that's kind of what they need. They need to kind of wake up a little bit, remember who they are, and get out there and execute, because they're having a few misfires, nothing drastic, but, you know, X Factor's a great team, and we're seeing that right now.
Right now, playing a little bit better.
They are. So on that timeout, we're going to have a few words from our sponsors. We'll be right back. We are in the pits here, Sacramento XSV. There's Thomas Taylor, number 77, getting ready to go. And let's hope for the XSV fans out there that Thomas's knee holds up. You know, he's been charging it hard for over a decade now and playing the one in the snake the entire time.
Yeah, well, he looks good right now. I mean, he's making his moves.
He looks crisp. He
does,
looks fast.
He
Hasn't lost a step. And that's what you kind of worry about when you have, you know, Todd, you've had some knee issues, and you were incredibly, you were running all over the place like a wild maniac back in the day. But, you know, you take those major blows to your joints, and over time you start losing steps, and it's just, you know, it's a part of playing sports, you know.
Yeah, we always talk about Paul Mendoza and his gym and his regimen up there in Modesto, and, you know, I've seen Thomas up there, you know, putting in work, and, you know, it looks like, I mean, like he said, he looks real crisp out there. It looks like he's making his moves.
Thomas is a specimen. Thomas puts a lot of time into making sure his body's in good shape. So, you know, Thomas is always going to be in shape. It's just that, you know, he does have that knee that occasionally goes out on him. So, and now XSV on the split screen breakout, losing a body off the snake side of the field. But X Factor also loses Dixon Yang as well. Riley Sullivan gets chopped up trying to go up in the center.
But Zach Wake is already in the 50 snake. Oh, he took a bounce in the shoulder, so he's going to be alive. Almost caught an XSV player coming up into Dorito 2. Does. Zach Wake stands up, eliminates another body. That's Aaron Foley walking off the field right now. So Thomas Taylor in the snake corner.
Takes out Rich Telford as well now.
And Rich Telford getting shot, and here comes San Antonio X Factor trying to make this to 5-1 here in this race to 7.
They didn't decide to hit the horn on him, save him.
And Rich got to be shaking his head at this point.
So refs giving
Zach Wake.
You know,
so that bounce in the shoulder may not have bounced. Zach Wake, notorious for those red flags, gets his first one of the season.
And that was something.
And XSV really needed that. So X Factor going to get the point there. Thomas Taylor wore it in the neck a few times, but was able to help earn his team a penalty. This is why.
And this is we talk about this all the time. There's no reason for that. You're up 4-1.
This is one of your pet peeves, Steve.
Yeah, that's just uncalled for there. Like, you don't need that, man. Well, that's selfish. I think that's a selfish move.
Well, here's the issue with Wake. Wake is an amazing talent. Everybody knows that. Plays a great game of paintball. But the knock against Wake, you know, is that he's incredibly talented, but he's kind of been his own worst enemy with the penalties over the years. And here we see that demon kind of arise again. But that being said, you know, Wake's in it for the long haul. I think that he's trying to find a home here in San Antonio X Factor. We've got a lot of tournament in front of us. If you're gonna blow out a major penalty, you might as well do it.
It's 5-1. And look, these pro teams, you're gonna have penalties are part of the game, but you know you don't need to get that kind of penalty when you're up. But if you're gonna get one, get it now.
Yeah, if you're gonna get a major, try not to never get majors. But if you're gonna get one, get it when it's 5-1.
5-1, and not when it's a 2-1 game or 2-2 game with whoever you're playing. So
yeah, exactly. So Yeah, and I'll tell you what, though. Excessive, they really need to focus right now. It's going to be really tough for them to come back. Now, there is 12 minutes and 42 seconds left, so tons of time left, and we're going to see that, I think. I think that's one of the cool things about this layout, and with these points being relatively fast, is that, A, we're going to see aggressive points, fast points, entertaining points, and then also, if you do go down a couple points, let's say it is 5-1, well, they still got 12 minutes and 42 seconds left. There's tons of time left for them to come back, so hopefully we will see some comebacks. Excessive should look at this. If I was in that pit right now, when I played on the team, I'd be like, look, guys, imagine it's 0-0 again, okay? Let's go out. Let's hit the restart button on this. Let's get out to your bunkers alive, and let's make this work, because we have enough time to come back. We have the talent to do it. Let's do this.
Well, I mean, X Factor is up points right now because they're being more aggressive. They're getting into those spots. They're attacking hard. Here we see them break out now with 4 bodies and spread the field. Let's see if Excessive can come out more aggressive. They try to send Riley Sullivan to Dorito 2, and he gets shot.
So it's 4-on-4, and they lose Ninos, though, on the snake corner here. So, as I say, that Excessive loses another player, and Thomas. Was that Thomas?
Yeah, Patrick Slattery and Thomas Taylor both walking off the field for Excessive right now.
But frustrating, though, because we watched Slattery and Thomas die to the bunkers. So this is one of those times when we need everyone gut checking and making sure that they stay alive and win those gunfights.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Slattery, you can't throw your body away if you lose your front guy on the break like that, especially when you're already up one. And they had just shot one player, Demetrius Ninos, off of this snake side of the field. So would have been a 4-on-3, really got to control, but that's kind of been the tale of this game right now, is X Factor really dominating and controlling the game.
Even when they're down, when it seems like they're going to be down, they said they just come right back, keep the pressure on Excessive.
To me, X Factor looks a little more fierce than Excessive right now.
Like they're riskier.
They're riskier. Their moves look a little crisper, a little faster. They're also, it looks like they're adjusting to the chaos, on-field chaos, faster. They're just a little bit better at pretty much every element of the game right now, and that's why it's going to be 6-1.
And when you got a team in a major, yeah, teams can win in majors, but when you got a team in a major, you need to pour it on.
Yeah.
And you can't. That's demoralizing for them. They just got to be frustrated going in there. Man, we shot a guy in the break, had him down, and we lose 2. Right after out of our bunkers. So
and that's for Excessive, again, another head shaker. X Factor down a body. They got that penalty. So the momentum has now shifted over. Mentally, you should be mentally strong in that point. If you're Excessive, you're only playing against 4 guys, and then they go out, they try to do something aggressive, lose the body, Steve, like you said, and then the big problem was having Thomas Taylor and Patrick Slattery die.
Yeah. And, give a little credit to, Coach Richard's first game. Some pretty good game planning out here. I like what X Factor's doing.
Yeah, and looking good for San Antonio X Factor here in their first game of 2013, and we'll be right back.
Next season on the roster.
We're looking for a guy that's on our heels every weekend.
My name is Wesley Ward. I'm 23. I'm from Macon, Georgia.
Scott Kemp, age 26, born and raised in Los Angeles, California.
Attitude thing, man, it's one of those things. Some people like it, some don't.
Man, I'll tell you what, I can't wait to see the new season of the roster, because X Factor's got an interesting story. And I just really like that Planet is going above and beyond to, really tell the story of their teams. But there's going to be a lot of that. And Dynasty had The Reckoning from Dirter that's come out. Houston Heat's been on there as well, too. And then also, HK is doing something with the Dynasty boys, a little 24/7 action. That to me is the most fascinating thing about the game, is the battle that's played in the mind that these guys have to deal with. It's not even just what you're watching right here, as X Factor losing some bodies over here on the snake side of the field. They still have, I think that's Jesse Stevens who's finally getting a spin out there.
Yeah, Jesse Stevens gets in the game, gets bounced, but the referee is looking at him as he gets goggled anyway. Thomas Taylor comes running down the field, trying to put some quick points on the board. And finally, we see some aggression really out of Excessive, able to get their bodies alive. I mean, still playing 5-on-4 with Zach Wake in the box. I mean, Zach Wake still has 20 seconds left on that major penalty. Excessive.
Yeah, they got to run that in and save that penalty. And so it looks like that penalty is going to stay on. And there still is 14 seconds. And Thomas Taylor just steamrolled Jesse Stevens over there on the snake side of the field. Jesse made it in a little precarious. He was getting checked out by the referee. And Thomas, he just ran down that snake side, feasted on Stevens. And nice job by Thomas Taylor there to keep his team in this. Let's check out this replay here. There it is right there. Jesse Stevens catching a bunch extra from Thomas Taylor. And Jesse Stevens getting his chance out there, but getting eaten up by Thomas. And that's good to see out of Thomas. The one thing you can always expect, Thomas is all heart, man. 100% heart. He's going to
lose. He's going to go out there and keep playing. That's what you want.
Exactly.
You need that.
You need that. But he's a vet. He's been around for a long time. He's been in a lot of championship matches. He's been in a lot of big games. So he's been in this position many times before. And the score is now 2-6, and X Factor 1 point away from sealing the deal here and winning their first match of this season.
And for Excessive here, they're down 6-2. I've seen many comebacks.
Yeah.
Crazy coming. They're not out of it. And you know what? If anything, they need to get those points. So they need to take that momentum and take it to the next match no matter what happens here. And they can come back. There's plenty of time. There's 10:57 left.
Here's the tough thing about Excessive's day is that they play X Factor, who's, again, been scrimmaging just as hard as they have, because Excessive's been getting some good practices. Been driving down to San Diego, playing Dynasty, playing good teams. And then funny enough that Excessive and Dynasty played each other in practice last weekend, and they're playing each other in Game 3 today at 11:15 Central Time. So paintball is the only sport that I can even think of. It's not like George St. Pierre and Nick Diaz are, beating each other up in practice before they go into their championship fight. Yeah. But that's what happens in paintball, is that you see these guys, because they need to practice against really good teams in order to keep their skills sharp and get better. A lot of guys are always hitting us up on Facebook, and by all means, definitely hit us up on Facebook. Ask us questions. We try to answer as many as we possibly can. People are always like, how do you get better? Play better teams. Right. And we got ourselves a timeout, and we're going to be right back after this. And we're back. Still 10 minutes and 57 seconds left to play here in regulation, but it's been mostly San Antonio X Factor, though Excessive showing a little bit of signs of life there with Thomas Taylor coming down the snake side of the field, taking out Jesse Stevens. Excessive needs to keep this up. They got a really big game against Dynasty. Dynasty is hungry to perform here this year. They did not have a great 2012. And that's another team that really wants to reassert their dominance. And there's a lot of teams like that. I really think that there's a legit 8 teams at this event. It's paintball, so everyone has a chance to win. But realistically, over the span of a 3-day competition, I think there's about 8 teams that have a chance to win this event.
I agree with you on that. There is. And look at Dynasty's, their start. Their start's Excessive, and then they get a game break, and then they go against Houston Heat. So they got a day.
No easy day here.
No easy day.
No easy days.
You got to go to work here.
But this is, we're watching the best teams in the world throw down. There shouldn't be any easy games. Really. These are top teams. And even the teams like CEP and Shock that had rough seasons in 2012, CEP, they cut all the fat off that team. They have a bunch of young, hungry, aggressive, quick guys out there that want to win, that know where they're at. They don't have unrealistic expectations. And we're looking at the split screen breakout here, as we have Excessive on the left-hand side of your screen, San Antonio X Factor on the right-hand portion of your screen.
Thomas Taylor goes to the snake there, but he gets taken out as he's diving down. So, again, talk about Thomas. He's going to give it all, every point.
And Zach Wade comes out of the penalty box. So, X Factor is 5 strong now, and Excessive lost Thomas Taylor as well as Riley Sullivan, as they tried to double up that Dorito side corner. Number 91 also walking off the field right now, Jerry D'Amato off the Dorito side. And here comes X Factor down the field, able to take out Colt Roberts. Aaron Tholey's over there fighting as hard as he can, but
just not enough, though. Not enough out of Excessive, and it's going to be San Antonio X Factor's game as Wake comes out of that penalty box clean and then is able to hang that flag and score the last point here in the race to 7. So congratulations to San Antonio X Factor with a pretty good point spread as well, which always plays, that does play a factor as well. So we've seen that, at the World Cup we saw 3 3 teams that went 3-1 and were able to go on. So, but that's how it is. That's how it works out here. Every point is important. Every game is important, and you really have to be able to bring everything you got to every single one of these games. And who brought it today was San Antonio X Factor. They look really good, and that's the interesting thing about this first event here, PSP at Cousins Paintball here, a little outside Dallas, Texas. If you're in the area, definitely check out. It's a great field. But the thing is there's so many unanswered questions, and we're gonna start getting them answered as the event progresses. And check this out. How did X Factor play? They played great. Wake still has a problem with penalties. He's going to have to see. Hopefully, he'll play clean for the rest of the event. Scott Kemp saw some action over there because they're going with Scotty Kemp now as the one on the Dorito side to help out Colt Roberts over there because they have an injured Ashton Johnson who saw limited time at Cup, but he'll be coming back in a couple months. So X Factor looks good. What do you guys think?
X Factor did what they needed to do, and that was come out here and set the tone for their season. They have another game today.
Playing CEP. Fourth game.
So, get off to a good start, defeat one of the more difficult teams in excessive, with a good point spread. I think, you see Ryan Brand working together with Paul Richards, and you saw some really nice game plans out of them. You saw them switch it up a little bit from side to side, really be aggressive. I just like where they're at right now. I like how they're attacking, where they're coming. It was a good first game, good solid game plan put together for them.
Yeah, coming in here, their practices were like, I've been getting reports that these guys have been playing really good at practice and doing well, and they just did it right here.
Yeah, and it looks like we have the fourth member of our broadcast team, Lauren Kelly, and she is down on the sidelines. Let's listen in.
Down here with Archie Montemayor. Congratulations, first win of the weekend. You guys looked really strong out there, but I have to ask, what happened with that penalty with Wake?
Well, to be honest, I'm not really sure. I think what happened was as he was going to bunker the guy, he may have taken a hit from one of our own guys in the back, and I mean, I feel like that's definitely a questionable call, but the refs are trying to make the best decisions out there, so we got a penalty with that. We were it was unfortunate, but we did win 2 points playing with 4, so that's obviously showing that we're practicing hard, and we did some 4-on-5 practices against the Russians this past week, so obviously those are paying off. But yeah, it was a good match. We had control most of the game. They won 2 points. One of them was a penalty play, so team looks good. We're hungry, and we're excited for the weekend.
Yeah, you guys are definitely looking strong. So this is a fast-paced field, no back center. You guys had a strong push on the snake side. What was your strategy coming in?
Well, with the new dimensions, it makes the gameplay a lot faster. Or at least you get better angles up the field because they don't have they're not further back away from you. So our strategy and honestly our team's strategy has always been be aggressive. That's how we play well, and usually that's how we beat teams is when we're being the aggressor. So we're just looking forward to the weekend. We got a good start. Obviously, we'd like to stay out of the box in all the matches, but we definitely finished strong and played well. So we're happy with the victory.
Definitely. Real quick, last question. How has Paul Richards changed up your game playing? We want to know.
It's interesting. I've always said he's been, for 6 or 7 years I've been on the team with Alex telling him, man, dude, Paul's a great asset to Damage, and we had the opportunity to pick him up. I don't want to give away any trade secrets, but he's definitely helped out quite a bit. Little things, and just another set of eyes from an intelligent person is always a good thing to have. So we're happy to have him. Our current coach Ryan is also, he's been great for us too. So it's really just nice to have another strong mind on our helping our team as opposed to another one.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, first win. We'll see you play again later today.
Yeah,
That's all down here, guys.
All right, we are back here, and congratulations to San Antonio X Factor. Thanks, Lauren. And we're going to be right back for Houston Heat taking on Chattanooga CEP. Do not go anywhere.